In Kentucky, we don't just take chances, we bet big. This month, I'm sitting down with 4 Kentuckians who made 4 bold moves and asking one question: what was the biggest bet that you ever took on yourself? This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Town & Country Ford. No matter where life's adventures lead you, Town & Country Ford is along for the ride. Once you got into the business, how did you want to make it your own?
Because in the 70s, bourbon was not doing so good. And, they had to shut down the Bardstown, Kentucky plant.
See, you don't like it when somebody refers to you as bourbon royalty, but you are.
It was important to my dad. He made sure I understood how important it was. So when Freddie came along, I stressed it on him, and he gets it. Now he's keeping it alive.
How do they determine when you're ready to be a master distiller? Is there a test? He is bourbon royalty with a lineage that stretches back to the legends. Be quiet. And he's got the stories to prove it. Welcome to the best bet, the 7th generation master distiller who's keeping the Beam legacy alive. The one, the only, Fred No. You didn't like that introduction? Did you?
You're terrible.
Fred No.
You're terrible.
Fred No, how the heck are you doing?
I'm doing good.
You doing good?
Shit.
See, you don't like it when somebody refers to you as bourbon royalty, but you are. You are,
You know me.
Son of Booker No, great-grandson of Jim Beam.
Had nothing to do with any of it.
No. Did you always, what was it like growing up with that group?
His dad and them, it was just a job,
Yeah.
Bourbon wasn't a big deal. I went off military school, and hell, I was in school with Boots Randolph's son and guys that, their parents were, my dad just made bourbon. It wasn't no big deal.
You name dropping like the Hellraisers of Nelson County,
Randy
right?
was a good buddy of mine. He was kind of a Hellraiser at school when I was, and we got along. We had a lot of fun together. And that's what I mean, people like him, shit.
Yeah.
There was a dude, he was kind of weird. Elvis's half-brother went there.
Oh.
David Stanley, I think.
Yeah.
And since then, I've seen he's gotten religion and all this shit. That motherfucker get no religion.
We're going to have to beat half of this interview all up. I mean, we're going to have to beat half the thing up. But that's the beauty of podcasts is that you don't have to.
All right. Yeah,
right?
It was crazy,
At what age did you realize, did you ever think for a moment you wouldn't go into the family business, that you would do something else?
My dad tried to push me away.
What did he want you to do?
He said, this might not be here. Because in the 70s, bourbon was not doing so good. And they had to shut down the Bardstown, Kentucky plant.
Yeah.
Because they didn't need, the sales were, everybody was drinking vodka. Nobody was drinking, bourbon. So he's
probably like,
he
sorry,
said, don't
son.
bank on this being here. Get your college and, be able to do something else. But don't.
Well, what else would you do?
I don't know. I thought about driving a truck or, I didn't have any idea. But I didn't really think about it. I was just, because he never pushed the bourbon on me. He wanted it to be my decision.
Yeah.
It wasn't ever, that was kind of Dad's way. It's got to be your own call. It can't be something you feel like you got to do. It's not like as soon as you're born, okay, not like Prince Charles, you're going to be the next king.
Right.
You're going to be, I had 18 cousins, so, a lot of people that were just as kin to Jim Beam as I was, but I actually gave it a shot, and I'm still there.
I think it turned out okay.
I did okay.
What do you think, once you got into the business, how did you want to make it your own? How did you want to, Fred No's going to have a mark on this business?
Oh, I didn't look at it that way.
Or you didn't?
I just looked at it as a job.
We got to survive.
I kind of fell into it. Dad started me night shift bottling line supervisor, so I had to, at nighttime, I didn't know anything about a bottling line.
Do you think that was a good plan, though, for your dad to say, you're going to start at the bottom of the heap, you're going to learn every aspect of this business?
I think it was a test to see, does he really want a job or does he just want a, paycheck?
Be a Nepo baby.
So, after the employees were convinced I wasn't a spy, like his undercover boss or something who puts Jim Beam's great-grandson on night shift with, bottling line at, from 4 in the afternoon to 4 in the morning a lot of times. You would think I'd have a more glamorous job than that, but that's where they started me, and I just kind of worked through and worked all the different jobs. Whenever they needed somebody, they'd send me to the warehouse, send me to the shipping department or wherever, and I just filled in to learn everything, and then it just kind of
worked out.
Things kind of worked out. Dad got tired of traveling. They put me on the road, and the rest is kind of history after that.
So you are known as one of the most epic storytellers in the business. I think so too. I think you tell some pretty crazy stories. When you started on the road, did you know that storytelling and your gift of talking to people was going to be your thing? And that was going to be the thing that people would make sure that they could come out and see you and hear the stories that you would tell, like in such an authentic way?
No, I think a lot of it, we were just trying to educate people on bourbon. And that's what Dad was doing, and all the, distillers back in that era, bourbon wasn't hot yet. It was still just kind of another product. And you would go out on these tastings, people would come and you would go through a tasting and tell stories about the brands and meet them, talk to them. And I think a lot of it was treating people like you'd want to be treated, and give them, just the authentic kind of Kentucky hospitality. I mean, I just kind of did what Dad did, but my stories were different because he was a different generation. And I just took a little different path to get to where I was. And, he always said, don't be me, be you, and just tell stories that you've experienced. I mean, I met a lot of cool people following him around early, and then I met a lot on my own since then. So it's been, and I think a lot of times when you meet a lot of these so-called famous folks, and they figure out you're just a regular dude like they are, or, then you get along better, and then you get the good stories because you have a lot of fun together, you're not.
Growing up, was food just as big of a deal in the family as bourbon?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Mom and Dad always cooked a lot too. And I mean, dinner was 6 o'clock every evening. That's when supper was. You had to be home for that no matter what I was doing. If I wasn't there, then that was bad news when I got there. Where were you? 6 o'clock's supper time, but, it was just 3 of us, Mom, Dad, and me. They both worked. So, Mom worked in the hospital. Dad was at the distillery. So if he got home, he was ready for supper. And if I was the reason it was late, wasn't good for Fred because I wasn't doing anything but messing around with my friends. It wasn't like I was. But after I went to work, it was a different story because, But yeah, before that, it was bad.
When a couple years back, you guys opened the kitchen table as part of the renovation at the Clermont campus, how did you want the kitchen table restaurant to reflect the true family that Jim Beam was and is?
Well, we, going into it, Chef Brian Landry, he really came up with the idea that let's have the food reflect the Beam family. And, he kind of sat down with Freddie and me, and we talked about things that Mom and Dad enjoyed to eat, what they served at the house, and gave it the menu items a tie back to the family. Like Mom was always big on having pimento cheese at the house when people came over to visit, so he had that on the menu. Fried chicken was always a big thing at the entertainment in the backyard. The grandkids love pizza, so he's got pizza on the menu. I mean, it's
he told me the story about pizza. So he said he was on the podcast, and he told me the story where he needed to make sure he wanted to have the pizza crust use the yeast.
Yeah.
The secret yeast.
The yeast that we use for the Jim Beam, yeah.
The official Jim Beam yeast.
Right.
And he needed to get started and to open up the restaurant, needed to get the menu together. And actually, he wanted to make the pizzas like a signature piece with this secret yeast. And he said he kept asking everybody, okay, look, I got to have like a sample of the yeast to start like trying out some recipes. And he's like, nobody would give him the yeast. And then finally when it was top secret, right? And he kept thinking this deal is going to fall through. And he said, finally somebody gave him a location at the distillery, like back behind a building. So-and-so's going to meet you there. And they had like a briefcase or something. And he said it was like something out of a spy movie. I mean, he's like,
him and Freddie,
it was crazy to get a hold of the secret yeast, like the yeast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
it's top secret.
Well, that yeast was actually caught by Jim Beam in my backyard where I live today. I live in Jim Beam's house there in Bardstown. And he caught that yeast after Prohibition. And, we've been still using that same strain of yeast to make the liquor ever since Prohibition. Dad did it. I did it. Freddie did it. And we don't farm the yeast out and give it to a yeast company. You know, we do it right there at the plant, our employees, and we keep it in the cooler, liquid jug yeast in a copper jug. And that's just the way distilleries did. But, you know, over time, a lot of distilleries have gotten away from that. They just farm the yeast out to a yeast company. You get sacks of powder and dump it in the fermenter.
Oh, that sounds so fake.
Well, I mean, that's just the people put enzymes in there.
Does it taste the same when it's farmed out like that?
We don't think so.
Because you don't do it, right?
We don't do it, you know, and we've always done it. And I knew it was an important part of the recipe because Jim Beam physically would carry the yeast home with him in case there was a catastrophe at the distillery. He kept it in the front seat of his car and would drive it home on weekends. And that way, you know, if something happened, the yeast was still safe with him. And, you know,
Have you all ever lost the yeast? No?
No, we keep samples off-site in case there is something goes wrong. We keep it chilled so it's in a dormant state.
Yeah.
But if, say, back in the old days when I was a kid, Dad, when we go down the weekends, first thing we did was walk up all the stairs to the cooler, check the yeast, make sure the cooler didn't, because if it gets warm, it'll get hot and it'll start working. And so then over time, they got a alarm system and a better cooler. And the guards, you know, at the plant if the temperature started rising, an alarm went off. I told them to go up there and check on it and take care of it. Now we've got
all this for the yeast.
Right.
You're probably like, there's got to be a simpler way to like watch after this yeast.
Well,
like, how do you watch it now?
There probably is, but yeah, we still got it in the cooler and it's got alarms and everybody's watching. It's there. The guards.
Like, how many people do you have on the yeast?
Well, there's just, you know, the distillers there at the Fred B. No Craft Distilleries do it. And it's they use it at Boston, at Clermont, and at the FBN Craft Distillery. And it's still that same strain that Jim Beam caught in the backyard right after Prohibition. So it's something we can say nobody else can say. And that's
right.
It was important to my dad. He made sure I understood how important it was. So when Freddie came along, I stressed it on him, and he gets it. Now he's keeping it alive, and, you know, he's protecting the yeast, you know, and that's just what. There's been people that wanted to add enzymes to our process, because when you add enzymes, you get a little more alcohol per bushel of grain, which the accountants enjoy that because you get more alcohol. That's better, but we don't do that. It's easy to take your yeast, give it to a yeast company, and let them produce it and give it to you in sacks. And they say, we won't give it to anybody else. Well, we don't know that. Mm-hmm. So we continue to do it our way. It's not the most efficient way, but it's the Beam way, and we're going to continue to do that as long as Freddie's alive. You know,
right.
I can't, after he dies, I don't know. I mean, little Booker, my grandson, Freddie might stress to him. He might carry it on.
You think it's pretty important to keep it in the family?
I think so,
Always have a master distiller from the family?
No, not really. I mean, but it's kind of cool that we can say that.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it doesn't have to be, but because there was one master distiller that wasn't in the family. Jerry Dalton held the seat until the company thought I was ready. When Dad passed away, they didn't think I was quite ready.
So how do they determine when you're ready to be a master distiller? Is there a test?
Well, he gave me tests, and every week he taught me the scientific part of it. I think it was more waiting for me to grow up a little more.
Yeah.
Get a little more age on me and show that I wasn't. You know, I kind of had a little reputation. I mean, you run around with
you.
You can imagine, you know.
I can imagine.
Something, you know, when you start hanging out with Hank Williams Jr. and, you know, people like that, they kind of wonder about you.
Yeah.
I came in with, you know, I had whiskers. Dad didn't like the whiskers.
Yeah.
He thought, you cut that damn beard off.
Yeah.
Said, you know.
What was it like hanging out with Hank Williams Jr.?
I had a lot of fun. We just go to concerts and hang out, and took Dad to a lot of them. And, you know, he enjoyed them, and I got to be buddies, and took Dad down for a video shoot when he was in one of Hank's videos, Young Country.
Shut up. Wow.
Met a bunch of young country music stars. A lot of them I'm still buddies with today. You know, it's kind of crazy. You know, they're just musicians. That's just their job, you know. And then when they get as amazed that you make bourbon as you are amazed that they, you know, play music. So it's kind of a meeting, and, you know, they usually drink a little Jim Beam, most of them.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of people say how excited they were in Bardstown, Kentucky is not that big of a town. It is the bourbon capital of the world, but not that big. And the excitement that folks would say when they would see the Hank Williams Jr. tour bus pull up in front of your home in downtown Bardstown, that it was like a frenzy that, wow, he's here. He's here.
He would never,
And
he
that
never
for
was
you
there.
is just like a Tuesday.
Well, I mean, his band would stop. They would come, or sometimes they'd drop me off.
Yeah.
If I was out running with them, they'd drop me off at the house. But yeah, he parked it there at the house a couple of times, and it caused a lot of uproar.
Caused a
But I don't know,
ruckus.
Troy and Eddie Montgomery brought both their buses once for a fundraiser. I think it caused more of a stir than Hank's bus. But theirs, they didn't have their names all over them. Like Hank had his name
Yeah,
on
they make
his
it pretty
and the
obvious.
picture. You knew it. But he never rode the bus. It was just...
So you had Hank Williams Jr., Montgomery Gentry, right?
yeah.
What now you have Jack Harlow hanging out.
Yeah.
That's
Freddie's
pretty cool.
developed a big relationship.
That's really
with,
cool.
With Jack, I'm really big buddies with his mom and dad. We've had a lot of fun. We picked some barrels for their charity. It was we had a lot of fun doing that.
Right.
We kind of
A little different from Hank Williams Jr.'s music, though.
a little bit, but
Little bit.
Jack's doing his thing, and that's what Hank did. He
Yeah.
didn't want to do what everybody wanted him to do, and he did his own thing. So it's been kind of fun to watch, and to see watch Jack and what he's doing is pretty cool, and he gives back to the community, and that's a good thing. When
He gives back in a huge way.
that's great. I mean, that's what it's all about. We try to do the same thing. If we can help any charity, I signed some bottles last night for some gals got cancer and they were raising some money. So I signed a couple of bottles. They're going to auction them all. I said, good luck. Hope they raise a lot of money. I mean, that's what it's all about, helping out.
A couple years back, you had a kidney transplant, and your kidney was donated by somebody that worked for Jim Beam. And I'm curious, like now looking back upon that experience, how that's changed you and the way you look to the future now.
Oh, well, it gave me a second chance. I mean, dialysis is not a fun experience.
No.
You're sitting in that chair 4 hours a day, 3 days a week, and you don't feel good when you go in, you don't feel good when you come out, you don't feel good in between. You're alive, but you can't really live.
Yeah.
And, my donor was a good friend, worked with her for 25 years, still working with her. And for her to, give me a kidney and how good I feel like it's second chance at life.
Yeah.
So I try to take care of it and, do what I'm supposed to do. And, we try to raise a little money and help the UK transplant center. It was funny. My surgeon came in there the day after the morning after the surgery and sat down and said, well, would you be willing to help us raise some money? I said, well, sure. So we've started this gala in Lexington every year, and we raised about $3 million for,
That's very cool.
it's for folks that, maybe need a little help with maybe a hotel room during surgery, gas cards to get back to doctor visits. There's everybody, like myself, I was lucky I had Marriott points. I got my, my donor's
Thank God for
husband a
those,
room and said, look, got close to the hospital, so, he could stay there. Got one for my wife at the time, and they had rooms. But everybody doesn't travel like I did and have old Marriott points. Where's your family stay while you're in the hospital?
Right. Who's helping you pay for this while
you're
you're donating a gift of life?
Yep. So they got it. They actually, can help folks out that need a little more help. So it's good, and it's growing, and we're raising a lot of money for the Children's Hospital there at UK, plus the UK Transplant Center.
Well, you must be feeling pretty good because you're on the road like most of the year.
I'm starting to get out there a little
What
bit.
What is your schedule like these days?
It's not as bad as it used to be, but
Like
it's
in a
gonna pick
week,
up.
let's just say for the month of April, what does a typical or could a typical April look like for you? Where all could you be?
They're talking about, I think we're going to go to New Orleans and do some promotion work. Then we got some stuff, I think, in Lexington maybe. And around, if I can do anything local, it's always good, get the local sales team and go visit stores. And then we'll do events there at the campus too, there at Clermont. And I try to get down to the visitor center pretty regular and meet the folks.
Do you have a month ever where you could be overseas for one trip and then come back to the United States for another day and then back someplace else?
They're talking about it in September, a trip to Australia and New Zealand. Get back over there. Whew. It's pretty,
What do they think of Jim Beam over there?
Oh, they love it. Last time I was there, these Australians would tell me, if you're not drinking Jim Beam, you're not cool. I said, wow. Okay.
Oh, wow.
When you go to a bottle signing in a liquor store and people are lined up outside of the liquor store, you go, wow. And the salesman said, Fred, you're like a rock star. I said,
Stop. Yes, you are.
One guy had me sign the hood of his car.
Wow.
I thought, what, really? He had his car, One lady wanted me to go to her house and sign her pool table. They didn't go for that. I said, no, we're not going to anybody's house. But
the pool
it's
table.
It was a good ride. I mean, over Australia, I'd like to get back, check it out.
Yeah. Do you think Europe and Asia and Australia, different places around the world, respond differently to the Jim Beam product than many people here in the United States, where we have so many products on the market?
Oh yeah, I mean, Jim Beam, you go all over the world. It's the big deal in a lot of countries. That's the only bourbon they have. Mm-hmm. Here there's a lot more selections, and a lot of people don't realize, Jim Beam is the number 1 selling bourbon in the world, and there's a reason. It's high quality. It's very mixable because everybody doesn't drink it like we do here in the States. Some people some countries want to mix it with juices, others with sodas, and that's just the way they enjoy it. It's a refreshment thing. I was in Brazil last summer, and that's what their big thing was, mixing up with a fruit juice, because it's in the summer over there. It's 100 degrees.
Jim Beam with a fruit juice.
Mm-hmm. I drank quite a few drinks.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it was very tasty and refreshing. That's the thing. If you got to have it in the way the locals drink it.
Right.
I always say drink it any damn way you want. So it's not like, you've got to drink it a certain way in a certain glass, ice, no ice, soft drinks, no, yes. I always say drink it any damn way you want.
Any way you want.
And I think that's the way, the freedom. You don't go into a restaurant and the chefs don't tell you don't put any salt or pepper on anything that they serve. I mean, they serve it the way they like it, but you make it yours the way you enjoy it. So it's, I think bourbon's the same way.
Well, you brought some bourbon. Taking a quick break. We're going to talk about what you brought. Coming back, we're with Master Distiller Fred No. I grew up in a Ford family. My dad worked at the Louisville Ford assembly plant. And it wasn't just a brand for us, it was a way of life. And that's the thing about Ford, is that they're woven into a part of our culture here in Kentucky and across America. So no matter where life's adventures may take you, Town & Country Ford is along for the ride. Whether you're a neat sipper or a cocktail king, the ultimate pilgrimage is calling. The Kentucky Bourbon Festival returns to the bourbon capital of the world, Bardstown, Kentucky, September 10th through the 13th. Tickets go on sale soon. Mark your calendars for April and go to kybourbonfestival.com.
Come on.
All right. Welcome back. I'm sitting down with Jim Beam Master Distiller Fred No. He's had plenty of stories already. He's cussed a whole lot. You've brought the full force of the Fred No today, haven't you?
Absolutely.
All right. Ready for our Kentucky Bourbon Festival sponsored question?
I hope so.
I hope so too, man. I hope you can answer this.
To go get.
All right. So you have a whole rick house at your disposal. What one bottle are you bringing to the Kentucky Bourbon Festival this year to show fans what's next?
Oh, well, Freddie would have to bring to show what's next. But for me, I would bring the Jim Beam Black. I mean, I think we've reworked the Jim Beam Black, got it 7 years, 90 proof, at a very moderate price. And I think people should see that, you don't have to give an arm and a leg for a good bottle of bourbon. I mean, it's a great one.
Isn't that the truth? I had somebody say, I'm not paying $1,000 for a bottle of bourbon or $500. Like if I can get in that $45 to $65 price point, I'm just fine.
You can get there for about $28.
There we go, $28. What did you bring me here? Hold on, let me get this.
It's our oldest version.
Oh yeah.
Of Knob Creek.
Oh, this is nice.
It's a 21-year-old.
Look at this.
Which Knob Creek normally is 9 years old.
Yeah.
But this was released late last year, and it's a 21-year-old version that Freddie and his team, watch the barrels, put them in a good spot in the warehouse. So, when you start aging bourbon extended periods of time, you have to watch and make sure that the balance stays well. just aging it for a long time doesn't mean it's going to be good when it comes out. And we do ours for, I always say, for people who are going to drink it. They're not going to put it on the shelf and look at it. It's not a
Bourbon is to be enjoyed.
To be enjoyed.
Not to be sitting on a shelf gathering dust.
Because you put it on the shelf and save it. When I always laugh at these people got these big collections. I say, when you die, your buddies are going to be talking to your widow and say, we want to get in this stuff that he never would let us touch. So, I mean, every bottle at our house, if you wanted to open it and drink it, fine. We don't, that's what it's all. Everybody thinks that Freddie and me have a great collection of bourbons, and we open them up and drink them, and that's what it's all about. Dad always said it's made for drinking, it ain't for saving.
I also love, too, that you've told a lot of stories. You and Freddie always love to share the stories about some of the greatest bourbons that you all have created. A lot of the new releases that Freddie has worked on come from mistakes and come from placing the unexpected together. Why do you believe that? What happens?
Well, a lot of times it's luck. You know, you just happen to hit on something. And, you know, when my career was more trying to get people into bourbon. You know, that was because, you know, when Dad passed there in 2004, bourbon was really not as hot as it is now. I mean, it was still a press to get people to really get after it. And now that people want new things. Yeah. Then we were just trying to educate people on what bourbon was about and get them off of the vodka and stuff. And so it's been watching the whole bourbon market over the years has been kind of wild. I've seen a few cycles up and down, and it's pretty crazy, you know, to see how.
Since you've seen it before, kind of go through its ups and downs, and you talked about how your dad was worried, you know, you may not be in this business because we may not be around. Do you see a lot of similarities in the business now to what we were going through in the 1970s?
I think now it's more of a pause, slow down maybe, or maybe getting back to where it was. Because bourbon was hot as a pistol here 4 or 5 years ago, and double-digit growth on anything you put out. You know, just the market was, you know, you had COVID, people were locked in the house. Drinking more than they normally do. Buying up a lot of stuff, you know, a lot of these collectors, anything that hit the shelf, they wanted it. But I think now people are kind of looking for more value. They want high quality, but they want a little more value. And they want something different. Yeah. You know, something, what's something new and what's on the horizon. Yeah. So Freddie's doing a lot with his team on the blending, you know, with using different barrels to finish, you know, finishing techniques, which is all good. You know, it's all about flavor. You know, and there's our good friends at Independent Stave, barrel maker over in Lebanon. They can help you get different flavors out of the liquid after you put it in there. It's a white dog. It's crystal clear. You have to get 100% of the color and all the flavor from the barrel. Mm-hmm. So you can do some research with them, and Freddie helps some, and they help him, and they work together to hit on things to make certain flavors come to the front. You know, so it's pretty amazing.
Not everybody likes bourbon the same way. Not everybody likes an old fashioned. Not everybody likes it neat. Not everybody likes it with fruit juice, right? Like, I think that you've got, especially, don't you find when you're traveling, a whole generation of people that are like, I don't even know if I like bourbon.
Right.
Like, so what do you give them? Do you do a ready to drink?
Yep, you can do
flavored bourbon, like a coconut bourbon.
Well, we did cherry. That was the first one, black cherry with our Red Stag. That was one of the creations that we were trying to bring more people into the bourbon category. Yeah. A flavored bourbon. I was real skeptical at first, but after I saw it, I was on the road, and we're bringing more people into the bourbon to try it. And once they get kind of acquired taste, then they might try it with a soft drink or something. And now these flavored whiskeys are pretty exceptional.
They're really popular. Look at what's well, it's like trying to make sure that you're trying to make sure that it doesn't taste too sweet and nasty.
Yeah. Freddie came out with that pineapple, and it did really, really well. You know, and it was amazing some of the drinks people were making with the Jim Beam pineapple.
What would your dad say?
Oh, he would like it. That, you know, if anything you could do with bourbon, he loved it. He tried to mix it and everything. He would cook with it. He'd drink, you know, try to make drinks with different bourbons. But, you know, I think the flavored part, if it tasted good and it was really balanced and you could taste the bourbon, just masking it with a lot of flavors and stuff, he wouldn't like that. But if you can really there's certain flavors that go well with bourbon. Cherry goes well with bourbon. Some of the honeys, the vanillas.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of those flavored whiskeys that we did that really hit for a while, and then they kind of come and go. But people like them. There's a market for it.
There's a market for it, and you have to change.
Right.
You have
You
to.
gotta try.
You gotta try
new
new
things.
things. You gotta try new things. So I heard that Jim Beam has gotten in the Formula One business, and Jim Beam is what the sponsor of Cadillac, the Cadillac car in Formula One. Is that right?
Yep.
That's a big deal.
Yep.
You like Formula One?
Oh yeah. I like all racing.
Yeah.
I like to go fast.
That's cool. I mean, I feel like Formula One is like just blowing up recently.
Oh yeah. I
Right,
mean, it's
like, I
always
feel like-
been there, but it's not as popular here in the States. I mean, we've had we had a car in NASCAR. Robbie Gordon drove the number 7 Jim Beam car for a lot of years. I ran around with him quite a bit on that. We did the Indy car with Andretti Green, Michael Andretti, and Dan Weldon, Dario Franchitti. We actually won the Indy 500 twice in the Jim Beam car. So it's been around racing. It's just another form of racing, and it's going to be interesting. I think the new team, Cadillac, just getting into, and if really our family has a history with Cadillac. That's what Jim Beam drove.
Yeah.
That's what I drive. They're actually talking like they want to get a picture of me with my car. So.
Look at you. Look at you. You know what you need next? A racehorse.
No, I don't need a race. Come on, Claudia.
Wait,
I've had
think
buddies.
of all the fun that you
I
can
got
have
buddies.
naming the horse.
I don't.
Think of the fun, like in the paddock, and I mean, people would bet on the horse just because of the fun names you would come up with. I'm serious.
I
Come
got
on,
buddies
let's do
that
it.
got horses, and
No.
I've been with them. It's
All right.
I don't have much luck at the track,
Well, I don't
You've
either.
been trying to give me all these.
No, I'm trying to give you all these
winners,
tips.
tips.
You know, it's
Our
dirt.
tips don't work too good.
I know, but we're getting in the heat of Derby season. It's gonna get
better.
better. It's gonna get
We're gonna get better this year.
better.
Okay.
Sure.
We'll hold you to that. We're gonna see.
All right. You ready for the rapid fire round?
Yes.
This is my straight shooter collection. You ready?
I guess.
How do you like your bourbon? With ice, water, or neat?
I like it ice and water.
Country ham or barbecue ribs?
Man, that's tough one. Country ham. We cure a few hams.
Worst bourbon you've ever tasted?
Wow.
You don't have to name names if you don't want to. You can.
I can't. Well,
Worst.
I've tasted some awful musty bourbons that they must have had some bad water or some bad grain. I can't really remember the names.
That's
to
a
be
good
honest.
answer. That's a really good answer. If you weren't distilling, what would you be doing for a living?
Ooh, maybe driving a tour bus or a truck or something.
Best experience you've had working with a country music artist?
Oh, well, I've seen a lot of good shows and had a lot of fun. I mean, the best. I mean, I guess when my good friends Troy and Eddie of Montgomery Gentry were inducted into the Grand Ole Opry, that was kind of cool.
That's cool. Dream partnership you would love to work with to build the Beam name and the label?
Ooh, I don't know. We talked about a lot on them. Shoot, I really.
Like if all the executives said, Fred, who do you want to work with? You would say,
Well, I'd like to be able to bring Booker back and do it again.
we'd all line up for that one.
But I don't know. Maybe Jimmy Russell. It'd be kind of cool to do one with Jimmy. You know, he's been like a second dad to me, and it would be pretty cool to, I think, collaborate with Jimmy and come up with a bourbon that we both liked. It'd be cool.
At the Clermont campus, it's famous for not only the beautiful scenery out there and the kitchen table and the outpost, but there are all these statues of the family located at different areas. So when you get your statue, what do you want the plate to say underneath it?
I hope I didn't mess it up.
I don't think you did.
I just carried it on and passed the torch to Freddie. I guess Dad, did his thing and passed it on to me. And I just sort of keep the thing going and keep it growing and pass it on to your son. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what life's about, especially in the business we're in. You kind of do your thing, pass it on to the next generation, and hope they carry it on. It started back with Jacob Beam, 1795 on Hardin's Creek. And I'm sure he never dreamed that, what he was doing there, making a little bit of whiskey. And back then they weren't aging it in barrels, probably aging it in buckets or whatever, and they were just trying to stay alive. And then what he started has grown into what it is today. I'm sure he's pretty amazing. Hopefully one of these days I'll go to the same place they all went. We'll all be able to sit down and talk about it, but who knows?
Awesome. Fred, thank you so much.
Thank you, Claudia.
Always a pleasure. Woo.
My pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you so much for watching the podcast. No matter where you're watching this right now, please leave a review because that gets the word out about this particular podcast. So until next week, have a good one, everybody. Cheers.